Hello again, Internet. As you can see, I've got quite the menagerie of things in front of us today. And I just want to tell you that today is the day that I've been promising for a while, but haven't got around to it. Well, I finally found around to it today. See, it's round, so I'm getting to it. But told you for a while that I was going to give you a little explanation on microworm cultures. Well, today's the day. I don't know if you can see the little buggers squirming in there. We'll try and get just the right angle on it. Over to the right hand side of the screen, you can see them really moving there. I hope this translates into film. But you see up on the side, all the little squigglies up on the side of the bowl, those are all microworms. And what you see right there in the frame up on the side of the bowl, there are tens of thousands of worms. These are much smaller than baby brine shrimp, and they're just as nutritious. Super easy to keep. Super easy to culture, and super easy to feed. Now, let's start off with discussing how we keep them. Mashed potatoes, old-fashioned oats, a slice of bread, graham crackers. We'll start with a graham cracker. How's that sound? Take this graham cracker and we'll crush it right up into nothing. Okay, I'm just crushing this graham cracker right up into nothing. It doesn't matter if they're all, crumbly, but it helps a little bit. And I'm going to mix a little bit of stale breadcrumbs in with it, just to be on the why not side here. There's some stale breadcrumbs. We'll put a couple pieces of oatmeal in there, and a little tiny bit of mashed potato flakes, and we'll top the whole brew off with anybody guess what this is? Everyday live culture yogurt. That's all it is, just yogurt. This is all food grade stuff. Won't hurt you to eat it. See? This is all stuff you can get at the grocery store. Super easy. Or it can be the stuff that's leftover. Leftover heel of bread. Lots of people don't like to eat it. My kids don't mind it. I don't mind eating it. But it's also something that you can use to culture your microworms with. We'll put a little bit of it in the bottom of the dish there. We'll take that slice of bread. We'll put it in on top of the yogurt that we already put in there. We'll put a little yogurt on top. Okay. See that? That's all it takes. Just a little bit here and there. And then we'll take active dry yeast. Now, this stuff that I'm making up here with all the different, here, let's do some mashed potato flakes too. We'll do some mashed potato flakes. Get that in there. Come on. I don't like having a huge hole because you get way more than you want. There we go. So we got some mashed potato flakes. You don't want it hot. You don't want it too cold. Just right. You stir it up. And there I went and messed things up. Got it a little too soupy. So I can either add more mashed potato flakes. I prefer to add a little bit of old-fashioned oats there. It'll soak up some of that water. We'll just mix that in there. Before we're all through mixing here, I'm going to add some of this active dry yeast. Okay. Take a pinch there. Take another pinch. Just mix it right in there. Make it good. And we'll do some on the graham crackers over here. There's some on the graham crackers. Now there's some on the bread here too. Can't forget the bread. Oh, I overdid it a little bit. You can see that. I way overdid the yeast on that. But you know what? Really doesn't matter. You don't really need all that much. Just enough to get the yeast growing. The yeast is the food for our microworms. Not all this other stuff. All you need to culture microworms is something that you can ferment. Bread, graham crackers, mashed potato flakes, old-fashioned oats. I do not recommend using straight oats, but you can. That stinks to high heaven. You can smell it across the room. Oh my goodness. I just would not recommend using it. You can if you want, but I don't do it because of the smell. Now, some people complain about the smell of the yogurt. Say it smells kind of sour. Well, it smells sour, it smells sour. Some people don't mind the smell of yogurt. I don't mind it at all. So here we go. Got some yogurt, some dried yeast in there. That yeast will pick up. Some people say brewer's yeast is best. This is just the regular everyday stuff you buy at the supermarket to make bread with. That's all it is. Active dry yeast. This happens to be Red Star, one of the more popular brands in the United States. But it's not necessarily all you need, or the exact brand you need to follow. It can be any of the number of brands out there. And I've seen people just use the brewer's yeast flakes, stuff like that. But I prefer to use the live activated cultures. That way I know it will continue to multiply. And as it multiplies, you don't want this too liquidy, because as the yeast devour your substrate, which is your potatoes or your bread or your graham crackers, it's going to liquefy it. But we don't want it too dry either. So we want to find a happy medium. I like to say it's a little more closer to the consistency of paste, but you don't want it runny. But here we are. Now, the next question is, how long do these cultures last? Well, I've been doing a little studying on that. I've made quite a few cultures recently, over the last couple of months, just to try and make sure I can give you the exact facts. Now, this one I made up on the 7th of this month, specifically to seed what we're doing today. I haven't fed out of it. I did feed out of it today, but that's because they were just crawling all up on the lid and everything. They got a little over rambunctious in their reproduction, I think. But I started some back on September 7th, and it's still going today. I'm still harvesting out of it, still feeding my guppy fry with it, and I'm feeding 3 and 4 times a day, because guppies, they metabolize their food so fast, and 15-20 minutes the food that they took in is out of their stomach and on through the digestive tract. You don't have to feed as often as that if you don't want good growth. I like to feed 3 or 4 times a day so I get good growth. And I have found much better survival rates on microworms with small fry like guppy fry, and my angel fry will take it. And I haven't tried it on Haven't tried it on the ram fry because I don't have any ram fry right now, but I'm sure they would do just fine too. How do we seed our new cultures? Let's take a look at our new cultures here. Oh, back to how long they last. 4 to 6 weeks. If you got to reculture, then reculture. If it's looking like your cultures are dying off, start a new culture. But this one, if you look, you just take a spoon or whatever. If you want to use an eyedropper, you can do that too. You scoop up some of them little squigglies that we saw earlier and just pour it right on top of your other cultures. See how I'm doing that? I'm looking at the parent culture, and the way the light strikes it, I'm looking at it, and I'm not taking from the same spot each time. See how it's kind of gone liquid-like? That did look kind of like that before. It changes a little bit of the color and stuff. And this is the bread and the yogurt. Just kind of set them on there. You don't have to mix them in or anything. They will do all that work themselves. The microworms will. And then eventually they'll be climbing up the sides of the container like they are here in this one. Now we come to another part of the whole situation here. These are actual living, breathing creatures, okay? They need oxygen to survive. And if you know anything about yeast, what does yeast let off? Some people out there may have done a CO2 reactor with yeast. So you getting where I'm going here? You may, you know, your CO2 reactor done with live activated yeast gives off yeast. Or, yeah, of course it gives off yeast. Gives off CO2. So what we have to do to combat that, if you notice on this parent culture, marked 10-7-17, there's a little cotton ball stuck in there. That's actually filter floss, but it looks kind of like a cotton ball. But now what we have to do, we have to take, and I can't stress this enough, a decent quality storage container. I'm not even going to tell you what brand this is because I figured out that they're decent quality. You just cut a little bitty hole in the cover. That's all you gotta do, you see. Then you take a piece of filter floss and you cut a little nub off and you kind of make it into a whatever ball. I guess you could use cotton balls if you wanted to. But you just kind of poke it through there. Oops. Be careful. It might pop right through, just like that one did. Pop it up through there. Make sure you got some on the bottom, some on the top. You don't want fruit flies getting in here because they will overwhelm your culture. But that's it. I will mark this one with today's date and we'll be good with that. Now I need to put a lid on these ones over here. If you look at them, you know, they're different states of liquid. You know, this one's got the yogurt in it, and little buggers will eat the bacteria in the yogurt too. This one, I can stand it right up. I can tip it right upside down. See, it's not falling out. But you got to make sure that your critters can breathe. So let's make a new plug for this one because, like I said, fruit flies can get in there. Now your larger fish, they'll eat the fruit fly larvae, no bones about it. My angels and my rams, they just go absolutely gaga for it. You drop a couple of fruit fly larvae in there and they just go bonkers. They're fighting each other for it. You just snap the lid on, just like that. Now we got almost 3 cultures done here. Now we gotta cut another nip for the next one. And if your cultures get away from you, you can always start over. But yeah, that's all it takes. Snap them shut. Make sure you mark the dates on them. Can't stress that enough. Mark your dates on them, the day that you started them. I'll be marking these with today's date. Oh, and in case anybody was worried about having too much yeast, you really can't overdo the yeast. Okay, put more in there. You really can't overdo it. The more yeast that is available, the faster they're going to eat, and the faster they eat, the more they reproduce, and the more they reproduce, the more food you've got to give to your babies. So, see, putting some more in there on top of the mashed potatoes. Really what that does is it gives it a bit of a jump start. You got that extra yeast in there. With the yogurt cultures, you really don't need the extra. You just need, the yogurt, and they'll start eating the bacteria out of the yogurt, and then yeast will take over and start fermenting things, and then that'll take over, and one thing leads to another, and you just get this huge explosion of microworms. Very cheap. I think I paid $10 for the culture with shipping. It was pretty unreasonable, the amount they wanted for shipping, but that's when you're shipping one little thing and they charge you $10 for shipping, but it pays for itself in the end. If you want to order a microculture from somebody of microworms or vinegar eels or anything like that, they will pay for themselves. But like I said, with these little guys, put them on the shelf. 4 or 5 days you're going to be feeding out of them. And I recommend having several cultures because I have had them crash. So if you have a culture crash, you got another one right there. I had to reorder my microworm cultures because somebody decided that they looked cold. She's 4 years old, so she put them in the microwave to keep them warm. Well, didn't work out well for the microworm cultures, that's for sure. So keep kids away from them, keep them out of the microwave, and happy fish keeping. I will be back again with a tutorial on vinegar eels. And if you like what you see here, don't be afraid to leave something down in the comments. If you know anything else about vinegar eels that you want to, or vinegar eels, microworms that you want to share with the world, just leave it in the doobly-doo down below. I do read all my comments. I will get back to you if I can. If I get 5 million comments, I probably won't, but like I said, if I use one of your ideas in one of my videos, I will give you credit for it. Can't always catch them all, but if I get to one of your ideas, I will give you credit for it. So just remember that. And like I said, happy fish keeping. Don't forget to give a thumbs up to this video if you liked it, or a thumbs down. I'll take anything. And tell your friends. And happy fish keeping, folks. High five.